Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Ethosh podcast, where we delve deeper into the ever evolving world of life sciences and healthcare technologies. Today's episode is going to be an absolute treat. Our guest today is a true trailblazer. He is our mentor and a friend to everybody here at Ethosh. He is the co founder of Ethosh, Rahul Deshpande. Rahul's journey is nothing short of inspiring. He transitioned from being a mechanical engineer to having one of the most successful dream jobs and dream careers at SAP in California to resigning and starting his own company from scratch. The company is Ethosh, which is today synonymous with cutting edge, immersive, and interactive experiences. Today, we will be exploring his mind, his journey, Ethosh's journey, and delving deep into discussion about entrepreneurship, about technology, about finding your niche. So it's going to be an amazing episode, and let's delve into it. Hi Rahul, how are you today?
I'm really wonderful, and thank you very much, Purva, for inviting me, and thank you very much for making me comfortable. So this is the first podcast that I'm doing ever, so thank you very much.
Thanks so much for agreeing to come on our episode. We are thrilled to have you here. We have a lot of questions for you. We want to know your entire journey. And there's a lot that I think we can pick about each part of your journey up till today, where you've brought Ethosh today to, becoming such a synonymous name for AI, for customer experiences, for immersive and interactive experiences. So I think to start off, I want to know about your journey from mechanical engineering to making it big in the sales world and being the director of Asia Pacific sales at SAP, and then leaving all that and then starting from scratch to make your own company, to start your own company and to make it big.
That's a long journey, but let me make it crisp and interesting. So again, mechanical engineering, landed up in engineering and that too mechanical with an accident. Wanted to do computers, but ended up in mechanical. Education for me, it was good. Wasn't as interesting as it was all theoretical. You sit in lectures and the practicals are not really the practicals. So somehow finished my 4 years. Did okay. Got my first job in Godrej and Boys, but it was job in computers. So that I loved it. I did that job for 3 years, and I got an opportunity to go to USA, and then work in the USA in the Bay Area. So that was fantastic, and that was my first job over there in the Bay Area in San Jose, mecca of all the innovation. Worked there, worked in a startup, kind of a dream run. The startup got acquired by SAP. All right, so I ended up in SAP. Otherwise, I would never have gotten in SAP. Did my technical consulting for a couple of years, and then I realized that the best way to make money in the Bay Area is to either start your own business or be in sales. So I switched from being a technical consultant to a commission-based salesperson, and that's how I got into sales role. Did that for about 8-9 years at SAP. Got an opportunity to run a sales organization at Asia Pacific and Japan at SAP. And but as I was moving through my career, the cuffs were becoming golden and they were becoming tighter. And I always had that itch to start something of my own. And the day came about May 2011 when I decided that this is it. I'm going to start something of my own, and left my job in September 2011 and then started Ethosh.
So that was actually going to be my second question, that, did you always have a dream to start your own company?
Yes, I always had a dream to start my own company, and that dream I started thinking about it when I was about 18, 19, 20 years old. I got to know, that time I got to know about my grandfather. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather was a businessman. And somehow because he passed away early in his age, at the age of 36, that legacy never came to us.
Right.
Every one of his kids went into jobs, and it means they all had tough times. So my grandmother became a teacher. She never wanted to do business, and then that legacy was kind of wiped out. Somehow, my dad's cousin sister told me about my grandfather, and then I said, "Wow, means he was really a successful businessman, and how come we all ended up in a job?" So that was kind of the beginning of my journey as a thought, but it took another 20 years for me to start it.
I mean, of course, I think coming from a family that does not own businesses, being the first generation, you said your grandfather was and then nobody was. So you did not have any direct guidance.
Yeah.
So you are definitely a first generation entrepreneur, which is the dream of so many people. So many people want to get there. I want to talk about that more.
Yeah.
But first, I want to know what led to the inception of Ethosh, and were there any gaps or were there any opportunities that you spotted that made you get into, say, immersive and interactive experiences? Why that?
So most of the time, and this is an advice I would give it to any entrepreneur who is thinking about, or anybody thinking about starting a business, is that there are plenty of problems out there, right? And you got to find a big problem for which you may have thought of a solution, or you may want to think of a solution, right? That's an ideal situation to start a business, and that's what I would recommend. That's not how I did it. I was like, I got to do a business, right? And it was at SAP, things were really going well, and they were even getting better. So I jumped off SAP ship when I had no idea what I was going to do. I was just clear about starting a business. Then came, as I was exploring, I came across, of course, so I met a lot of people, and one of them was Jitendra, my partner, my co-founder. And when I told him that, hey, I've left, and I want to start a business, he was like, okay, then I'm going to leave as well. And he was at Cisco, so I'm going to leave as well. And then we both decided to leave, and he left his job with no idea on what we were going to do. Of course, coming out of SAP, he coming out of Cisco, there were a lot of opportunities for us to start something parallel in SAP area or Cisco area. We could have become their partners, and there was an opportunity. There was a kind of a offer on the table to start those resellers or partnerships, services partnership business over there, but we refused to do that, and we kept exploring. And during the exploration, we came across, while meeting with a lot of people, we came across an opportunity where, or rather a problem, where we saw that in engineering companies, people who create knowledge are engineers, right? Me, right? Mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. We create knowledge, right? On how to use a product, how to maintain a product. But people who consume that knowledge are not necessarily engineers, or not necessarily as educated as the engineers are. Like, I would design a product, but the assembly is done by people who are working on a shop floor. They may be ITI, or their education is not at that level. Their literacy in terms of language is not there, but most of the knowledge gets captured in English. And we saw that in India, that those gaps created many issues, whether they are quality issues, whether they are delays in delivering a product, whether there are delays with customer satisfaction issues, all those issues, and then cost overruns, right? And we said, okay, how can we address this gap? Then came the opportunity of we saw, so we were looking at multiple opportunities on addressing that gap. And one of the idea that came to us was actually using technology, a visualization as a technique, and digital as a technology, and combining that together, creating interactive and immersive experiences to address the knowledge gap in engineering. And we said, okay, that seems like $1 billion idea, and we decided to march on that.
Wow, the American dream, right?
It's everybody's dream. I wouldn't say just American. It's today, in India or anywhere in the world, people, there are so many startups that are getting created, that are thriving. But I think, today starting a company, being an entrepreneur, is much easier than what I could imagine what it was probably 50 years ago, maybe even more difficult what it was maybe 80 years ago when maybe my grandfather started it.
Started his business. Can I just ask what did he do?
So he had few jewelry shops and few gas stations or petrol pumps in and around Pune.
Wow. Okay. So he definitely did start, in the tough times, and he made it big.
Yeah, he was a pretty good successful businessman.
Wow. Okay. How did Ethosh venture into these industries? How did Ethosh get into the life sciences, healthcare, and manufacturing sectors, and why?
So when we started, right, again, you have choices, right? Visualization and digital. You could get into consumer industry. You could get into retail industry. Of course, first of all, the choice of technology, choice of business that we got into, the choice of business model that we were going to have, it was all new to us, right? But one thing we were very clear about, which was the purpose, why Ethosh existed, why we existed, why do we want to exist? And we were very clear on few things, right? One is we want to address complexities in the business, right? So that was one very important, and we want to address those complexities and try and attempt to make them or simplify them to such an extent that they're consumed or used by the people who need to use those, right? Whether it is a knowledge, whether it is tools, whatever those are, right? Now, which industries are most complex when you think about it? Engineering and science, right? When I'm an engineering student, so as a science student, and I know reading those large, thick books, the most of the concepts, it would take me a hell lot of time to get into my head. Whereas a good professor who would draw pictures on a whiteboard and explain us how that process would work, I still remember those learnings, right? So we knew that visualization, if you teach someone, if you transfer knowledge in visualization, it would last longer, it would have better retention. And the industries where the problems were higher is primarily engineering and science. Right. So we said, okay, we want to focus on those industries, we want to address complexities and make sure that our solutions are educating, enabling, and exciting people about the outcomes. And that became our purpose.
Educate, enable, and excite. Yes. I see that all around the office. I
absolutely.
think that is also something that we want to do through our work as employees, as everybody who's working at Ethosh. So what were some of the most significant hurdles or obstacles that you faced in the early stages of building Ethosh?
I would say, it was the first few years were all very, very difficult years. Mm-hmm. Okay. You're right, first time entrepreneur. Maybe I'm not, within the family, I'm not the first time businessman in a way, because my grandfather was.
But I mean, starting a company is a huge deal.
It's a huge deal, and I had no mentoring within the family.
Exactly. Yeah.
Same thing with Jitendra. He didn't have anyone in the family who had started the business. So we made tons of mistakes. Every day if I go back and if I put my daily kind of, I don't write diary, but if I had to write diaries, I would say that every day there would be many mistakes that we had committed, right? The good part is, when you hire good talent, when you hire good people, they stay with you in spite of those mistakes. When you are committed to your customers and when you are committed to their success, they stay with you in spite of those mistakes. So initially, while financial management, we had no clue, right? We were making tons of mistakes over there. Sometimes we would get distracted in doing something which was not core to Ethosh. Those were the mistakes, and these things happen with every startup, right? You are focused, but many startups get derailed and they start something else. So I think bringing it back to what you are supposed to be, what you are committed to, is most important thing for anybody. Fortunately for us, I would say that things just worked out in our favor, right? And I give a lot of credit to our team and our customers for keeping us on track, right? And made sure that we don't get kind of distracted anywhere else.
I think what you said about your the people you hired sticking with you and your customers also while you're trying to find your way as an organization, that reminds me of I read an article that you wrote. I think you had just read Mahatma Gandhi's book, My Experiments with Truth, and you spoke about truth in your actions, your work.
Yeah.
I think that is what the customers as well as your employees notice when you are true, and then they would stick with you, right?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's what happened?
I think that's what happened. Not that I probably did that intentionally.
Yeah.
As you know, honesty and openness are two values that we carry as along with others. I think being honest to oneself, and then being honest to your team, and being honest to your customers and partners, also the vendors that support you, help you in building the foundation, right? Because it's most important thing is the genuineness that people look through, right? They can really see through you if you're not genuine. So I think fortunately for us, we have always been very genuine, very honest, and very committed to the purpose that we started, to our customers. And I think that's what the result is. But yeah, means Mahatma Gandhi's book on Experiment with Truth, it has many lessons on how one could conduct a business, right? And how one could be honest and truthful in conducting a business. And I think we practice that on every day.
That's amazing. I mean, not only do you read a lot of books, you make sure that you apply what you learn from it in your entrepreneurial journey, in your business and your conduct.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Ethosh deals with digital technologies, right? And one of the many important concepts, important things in digital technologies right now is AI. It is going to be something that's going to be the future for all of us. We're all trying to get to know it, to learn with it, to move forward with it. So what is your opinion on the uses, the capabilities of AI, and how do you think that it's going to pave the way for Ethosh forward?
Yeah. See, AI is dramatically, it's going to change how we work, how we conduct our business, how do we live our lives, how do we, get educated, how do we get our first job and next job, and how do we live a retired life. AI is going to play a role in every aspect of our life in future. I'm not an expert on AI, and that's why I'm going to make this statement about I hope. Generally, I don't make this statement. I don't use word hope as much, but I'm going to say I hope that AI becomes as powerful as some of the technologies like electricity, okay, or technologies like or in healthcare, I would say things like insulin, okay. And the reason these are like very dramatic, like examples I've taken, which are at the two distinct spectrum. But the reason I say this because electricity has given us the life that we enjoy today, right? And it was, conceived 100 plus years ago. Insulin has solved many problems in diabetes, and it has saved lives. Otherwise, diabetes was a fatal disease. So when you think about such thing, I hope that people use AI to better our life, to make this planet sustainable, to make healthcare affordable, to make education accessible. And these are the major problems that AI should solve, and not just remain as a chat GPT that is helped to do write essays on a topic. So I believe there is a power in AI to do all of this, and I hope that the experts in this area will use it, will create that technology in that sense. At Ethosh, I would like to use it for these purposes, right? We want to help educate people. We want to enable them to do better jobs. We want to excite them about the outcomes that they will have, right? And I want to use AI to fast track education, or personalize education, or contextualized education, right? I want to use AI to enable a patient to live better life, or to enable surgeons to perform better surgeries. So that is what I think at Ethosh our intention would be, and that's what we will strive to do, is to make sure that it fits into our purpose, and that's what it's not just another revenue and money making technology.
I really love that. I mean, I love the vision that you have for AI and Ethosh together. I mean, it is something that is wholesome. It is just so positive. And with all the talk of, AI, say, taking away jobs or AI not being good for us in the long run, I think this is what, making use of AI this way is going to be what saves us. It's just, I love this. I love this part.
I hope we all work towards that. Not taking away jobs from
Yep.
people. They may eliminate some jobs for sure. Like robotics has eliminated certain jobs on the shop floor.
Right.
So there will be some elimination in our jobs. I don't doubt that, and maybe it is for good as well, because people would focus on something which is more meaningful in their life. So to everyone, I would say that you need to focus on enhancing your skills. See, you need to be constant learner throughout your life. So I would say I read 3-4 books on a regular basis at a given time. I'm reading a lot of books. So not yet on AI, but I think enhancing the skills is going to be very important. But the experts who are building the AI, I hope they do the job that is meaningful for the society, for the planet, and for the ecosystem that we live in.
Yeah. I think so. I want to ask the last question about Ethosh.
Sure.
And I want to move toward another topic that's also very important,
Okay.
and it's going to excite all of our listeners a lot. So my last question about Ethosh is that what excites you about Ethosh and its path looking forward?
Looking forward, I think we are at, I believe that the 12 years that we have been in business,
Yeah.
I believe that those have been foundation years. And the reason I say that, it's like I want to become a doctor, right? And it takes 10-12 years to become a doctor. So I feel that we are just starting up. Like, I feel like tomorrow is our foundation day of Ethosh, and the future that we are going to hold is really different and bright with all the technology that is evolving, right? We work in VR. It's been almost 10 years that we have been working in VR, but every day I read about VR, there is something new. And I know that it's going to take another 4 or 5 years for it to mature. But there would be a day when the form factor of VR would be small, and I would wear it, and I would be in places, and I would be talking to people, I would be helping someone, or like in medical, you could imagine what VR and AR could do. Again, what I see, the AI is becoming powerful and important, and again, bringing that and helping solve the big problems. I believe for Ethosh, we should become meaningful, and we should focus on solving big problems, right? Education, medical education, for example, education for nurses. How can I get all these big companies, pharma, medical device companies, think about bringing affordability into healthcare, affordability into education of healthcare, bringing quality and precision in healthcare, in life sciences, in research. I think, and if we can make even a small impact on those ideas and create something, I think we're gonna. I would be super happy and super excited about those times. And I think we are at the beginning of this journey. So, I feel that, like today is a foundation day. Every day is a foundation day for me.
I would really like to point out, we've been seeing throughout this conversation that there's a lot of curiosity that he approaches everything with. I mean, be it, the way he started his company, there was a curiosity that, I want to try this. This is something that, I've seen and I want to do it. Let me see what lies beyond this. He reads 4 to 5 books at a time, he said. I think there's a lot of curiosity in that also. There's a lot of curiosity in how he approaches each day as the foundation day of Ethosh, and now there's going to be something amazing that's going to happen. I think this is an approach that all of us can take toward each day, and we can definitely, live each day like that. Okay, so now I would like to turn to your journey as an entrepreneur. Yeah. There are a lot of our listeners, our viewers, who are definitely dreaming of, making their own path and starting their own company someday. So I think, but the problem seems to be that, everybody dreams of it, but most people would rather, stay in the safe zone because it is risky to start your own company. You don't have a safe ceiling above you. So I want to ask you about your advice, also your insights on your journey that, all of these people who are looking forward to starting their entrepreneurial journey should keep in mind.
Yeah. See, there are many successful entrepreneurs. There are many successful entrepreneurs who have written books on it, and many successful entrepreneurs like Mr. Narayan Murthy, and many youngsters these days, the Flipkart founders, the others whose journey is very inspiring, right? And how they have gone about doing it. So I would definitely recommend everyone to kind of learn from those stalwarts and successful people. That's a good, because you need inspiration to start something, right? That is one thing. Now,
I think you're gonna be that.
I hope, and I would say that if I could be of an inspiration, that would be a blessing on me. But it's very important that when we are starting up something, right, as an entrepreneur, I think that the vegetable vendor who has a farmland and produce something, a vegetable, let's say tomatoes, and decides one day to go out and actually sell by himself in a market, right? That is also entrepreneurship, right? So the path entrepreneurship is a pursuit of opportunities. It's a simple definition: pursuit of opportunities. Now, when you say opportunities, there are what are we trying to do, right? As a part of this, whose problems are we trying to solve, right? And that is very important. I would suggest to many people that try to solve as big a problem as possible for you when you're thinking about it. Now, it doesn't need to be a $10 trillion problem, $10 billion. It doesn't matter. It could be a $10 million opportunity size as well, from a dollar size perspective. And the reason I say that, because business, when you're starting a business, even if it is a social venture, even if it is a charitable trust, you need money. You need to look at your profit and loss accounts. You need to look at into your balance sheet. You need to look into your cash flow statements. That is when it, rubber hits the road, right? So money matters are very important. Where are you going to get money from? Where are you going to spend it? How much money you are going to keep it as a profit? Now, where do you invest? Whether you buy a big car for yourself, or whether you reinvest, or whether you, if you're a social venture, whether you recycle it, all that is part of a business model. But what is the problem that you are trying to solve, right? That matters. Second thing is, who is going to pay for it, right? Who are your customers, and how are you going to make that a sizable business so that you can sustain it? Entrepreneurship is not, see, there are solo entrepreneurs, right? They will become, I think that's also great. But somebody who is looking to build a business, like hire people, give employment, that's, I think, a very noble cause also. So you need to think of how are you going to pay their salaries month on month, year on year. What are you going to do for their careers? What are their increments, their financial sustenance? How are you going to retain customers? So all these things, you got to put it on a whiteboard it, right? Think of like, okay, as you get clarity, not 100%, you will never get 100% clarity before starting. But as you become, okay, I want to solve this problem. Yes, there are customers. They will pay me whatever the amount. I will be able to save some funds. I'll be able to employ people. I'll be able to think of their careers. I'll get more customers and I'll be able to retain them. And you get some good confidence on that. That's the time you want to jump in, right? Of course, talk to your friends, family. Ask them, would they be willing to invest in your venture? Not necessarily you want to take the money from them, right? It's okay. They always say 3 Fs, right? Family, friends, and fools. You may not take money, depending on the culture, depending on the society that you live in. Sometimes in India, you go to a friend and ask for money. Maybe they'll give a little bit, not a whole lot, and it becomes a botheration. But in different society, maybe in US, in Silicon Valley, they may give it, and it may not become a botheration. But it's, even if they say, yeah, I may want to, this seems like an investable idea, fundable idea. That's also good validation. So getting those validations, talking to investors, talking to other entrepreneurs, don't keep idea to yourself, right? It's the last and worst thing that an entrepreneur could do, unless you are working on a super algorithm. So keep the algorithm with you, not the problem and the solution that you're trying to do. Go talk to many people and you get a lot of insight into it. So I would suggest that do this exercise, do the insight, or take, do your homework very well before starting it. Not like me, how I started. I wouldn't advise it that way. See, I had a runway, right? Yeah. Financial runway. Not everybody has that. And I got lucky that we are standing here. right? In spite of making tons of mistakes, and I could really I could really write a book on my mistakes, and I hope I do one day because others would learn from it.
So now 2 questions come to my mind. Firstly, like you said, talk to people, share your ideas. I want to ask about mentorship. So how does a person who wants to start a business, an aspiring entrepreneur, how do they find the right mentors? That's my first question.
Finding a right mentor is sometimes more difficult than finding a right customer and even a right employee. Okay, so finding a right mentor. Again, I've been blessed at SAP. All my managers, because I got into sales without having any experience of it. I was fortunate to be in a very different society, very different culture, an odd man out, but still I was mentored and taught the best things in sales, right? So how do you go about it is you got to be open, right? And discuss your problems. First of all, people shy away from discussing problems. Now, problems and complaints are two different things, right? Problems have other side of the problem is opportunities, right? When you discuss problems, you're taking them, you're not making them your own problems, right? You're talking, for example, when we were at a stage when we wanted to bounce off ideas and a business model to someone, right? So I got introduced to Dr. Prakash Sukhatme. He's also father of our ex-colleague. So Sukhatme sir, when I met him first time, right? And he was a ex-MD, ex-CEO of a Kirloskar group companies. And he listened to me for an hour and asked me some question. And he said, Rahul, I'm going to take a couple of days and I'm going to come back to you with some answers or some thoughts on it. And then he did. And what I loved about that process is that he listened, then he researched, he studied about my problems, and then he came back with perspectives rather than recommendation. He was like, this is how I think I would do these things, or this is how I have done it in the past, and maybe there is some relevance. And he let me choose those things. So now finding such mentor is a difficult thing, but unless and until you ask right questions, ask for help. People are afraid about how should I ask for help? No, don't be shy about it. Go ask for help. And you observe the person. If somebody jumps to conclusions and solutions, probably not a right mentor for you, right? Depending on the situation. But I would say most of the mentors that you want to choose are the one that listen very well. They comprehend and they study. They empathize with you, and they bring out point of views rather than recommendations.
Right. So they guide you.
They hold your hand and only take you to the level where it's decision is still yours. The actions are still yours.
Yeah. So they just show you all the paths and they bring you perspectives, like you said, but they don't solve the problem for you.
Absolutely.
They leave that to you.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. And now my second question, you said that you had a financial runway, because you had worked for, say, I think more than a decade, 14, 15 years already.
Yeah.
So now people who want to start businesses, of course, because of the risk that is involved and because of, not being sure if they'll make it or not, they do take up jobs. Did that help you? Do you think that your time at SAP as an employee, handling lots of things, added a lot of value to you as an entrepreneur? And would you suggest that people who want to start businesses first go the employment way, first work for somebody else, understand, and then jump into entrepreneurship? Or should they start and then figure out, but not without an idea, like you said, like not completely without an idea, with some study, but directly, or the other way? What do you think?
I think a 12-year kid can start a business with a good ability to understand what the problem and the opportunity that she wants to go after, and has a mean or a solution that would address that problem, can become an entrepreneur. So I started selling when I was 7 years old. Like I was selling soaps, and but that was just a side thing that I was doing. But at SAP as an employment, I learned a lot of things. First of all, I learned sales, right? And sales is so important, so critical to your business that if I was a technologist, now I could say that I would hire a salesperson first, right? Then hiring the whole technology team, the backbone of it, right? Because the salesperson is going to go talk to customers, get the requirements, see whether there is a solution that we can deliver to them. They are the face of the company. So I learned that, and it helped me to start the business, because the list of customers that we have today, right, the who's who that we have, that is all because of, yes, we have great product and great team who is delivering it, but it is also because of the sales efforts that we have put in, right? So I would recommend that if you are getting into a job, be open about it, right? Even if I'm in operations, right? What problem am I seeing in operations? What solution can I deliver? And how am I going to sell this? How am I going to market this solution? Ask those questions to your colleagues. Like, go and talk to your salesperson and say, hey, how do you go about selling it? Like, can I come on your sales call one day? I just want to listen in. That those learnings, be a learner, right, throughout your employment journey, and learn from it. If you're a salesperson and if you want to start it, see, salespeople, that's why when I left, I had no idea what to do. Right? Because I was a salesperson, right? And I was doing SAP and I didn't want to do SAP. So I left all my knowledge and experience behind, and I was trying to do something new. So if I was a salesperson and I wanted to start something, I would go and talk to customers about, hey, how do you solve this problem? Like, what are the technology things, like a product managers and something? How do you think about building a product? How do you go about designing a solution for your customers? That is something I could have done, right? So those are the things that I would advise, that be open about it, look for problems, and look for opportunities, not necessarily jumping to the solution again quickly, but look for those and keep digging, keep asking questions to your colleagues and others, to your seniors, and see if they have some ideas, thoughts on how they go about solving a problem. So those are the things that you could do if you have an employment. And it's a best path, because not only you create a financial runway for yourself, you actually expand your horizon in terms of how to go about building a business. Business is, unless you're a solo entrepreneur, still building a business is multiple functions come together, right? So it's an experience, that exposure that you get while working, and that's a great it's like multiple times the MBA that you are getting while working. So that I would definitely recommend it. But I admire Steve Jobs, I admire Bill Gates, I admire Mark Zuckerberg. These are the guys who have started business, or Google founders. They have started business of either dropping from their classes or right after completing their education. So I think anybody can start the business. There is no need to do a job and then do it. But if you're doing it, then yes, you have certain advantages over there.
So along with the financial runway, building an experience runway.
Experience, your network, your team. You could hire someone that you have worked with, right?
What are your top tips for correct and perfect networking?
First of all, don't be judgmental in terms of who you are networking with, right? Because people start, okay, oh, this is a very senior person, how am I going to network with this person? Don't be, or oh, this is a junior person, how am I going to network? Or that, caliber, roles, responsibilities. Don't just leave all that behind, right? That is one thing. Don't be judgmental. Second thing I would say is that don't put an outcome first in a networking, right? Okay, as a salesperson, I always network to eventually to do a business with that person, for example. But my intention to begin with is to bring happiness to that person. And what brings happiness to that person? If it involves solution that I can provide, then I'll sell that to that person. But if that person's happiness lies in something else, and if that doesn't involve business, but I can be a part of it, then I would appreciate that network. So I think put the relationship before the outcome that you want to achieve while networking, right? So whether it is employees, whether you new hire, whether it is interns that you hire, make a personal relationship, a personal connection first. Try to understand, empathize with them, and see whether they empathize with you, and that level. And then there may be something that professional, something comes out of it. That's the second thing I would say. And I think the third most important thing is that if you're building a network, right, there are certain networks or the certain connections that are that are important, that are significant to you, and you may realize it as you get involved in that relationship, right? So respect that, right? Respect the relationship, respect the network that you are building. That means it's an investment, right? Investment of time, or investment if they post something on LinkedIn, and if you feel that that's worth appreciating, then do spend a minute reading it and then appreciate it. So invest that amount of time and respect that relationship.
Yeah, I think these are really some tips that I myself personally did need, because networking with the right people and not being shy, finding the correct people, who can who you can build a relationship with. It's some of the things that young people do find problematic a little bit. So I think this was a really great advice.
Actually, I'm going to say a little bit contradictory to that.
Okay.
I'm going to say that I build better relationship with young people. This generation is because they are far better than how I used to see the world, the way they see it today. And I think there is a lot for me to learn from all of you. So it's just exactly opposite. If I'm building a relationship, if I'm networking with youngsters like you, actually I'm very selfish, because I'm like looking at so many learning opportunities that I wish I had when I was of your age.
So I want to ask a question that, say young people my age, what are some skills that they should build for their careers, for their lives? Like, from our discussion, one of the things you said is that learning, like constantly learning, constantly looking to learn from people, from experiences, from your job, from anywhere that you can find. Another thing you said is sales. So I think sales and learning, I got it down. What are some other skills that you would want people to definitely master or learn now?
See, there are quite a few, and I wouldn't categorize them into professional skills. I would call them into life skills. Communication is one of them, right? Is very important life skill. You want to constantly learn, master, and so that is one. Second is I think we are into uncertain environments. We are entering into uncertain times, right? And that is where the life skills are going to change a little bit, right? So the skills to do a kind of a job, right? So we all are used to sitting in front of computers and doing our job, right? What about actually getting out and trying to sell something as a street vendor? Okay, I'm not saying, because I respect every job,
Of course.
right?
Yes.
So what about that skill, right? What about a skill of making something at home, like baking products and trying to sell them, right? Or finding a customers, and so building your own small business out of it, or doing something of your own. I think the skills that would give you happiness, such as like the hobbies and other things. So I think there are many, but I think these are also very important skills that we need to acquire, beyond just being a professional skills, right? Tomorrow, for example, driving, I think is an essential skill. And I sometimes feel, okay, what if my business doesn't do well? What if I'm 50 plus, I'm not going to get a job? I can definitely become a Uber driver. You know me, I love driving. So that is a good skill that I have. That's a good life skill that I have. I'm not saying it's, I'm not suggesting that, one should look at each of these, but one should be prepared to have such skills that are going to help them in different stages of their life.
Yeah.
And I think that's more than just sitting in front of computer and gaining soft skills or other skills like that.
What are the skills that you have decidedly built? Life skills, of course.
Decided to build, I think.
Decidedly, like.
Yeah. So selling is one, right?
Yeah,
and I personally feel that I could go and sell anything. And so I literally means I still have a certificate that I was a best sales kid in the area from Tata. It was Tata Chemicals that time, and I was in the second. I was in the 6th grade or 5th grade.
Wow.
So I think earlier on I sold soaps, I sold firecrackers, and then I was a teacher, right? I purposely like when I earlier in the age, I did a lot of tuitions, teaching mathematics and biology to kids. So I think it was intentional. Means I wasn't doing it intentionally, but I think it has helped me, and I've kept it. Mentoring is a skill I think I want to still become better at it. Those are the life skills. Going out, helping others physically, physical help. I think that is another life skill. I still need to work on it, but I think I want to intentionally build that, where I could go build, help an elderly person or kids, investing in physical activities, right? So
I think that's amazing. Now that we are nearing the end of our podcasts, a question that just recently, like, we've celebrated the new year, 2024 has started. All of us are probably making some resolutions or some things that we want to achieve this year. What do you want to achieve this year?
A 2024 resolution, there is no specific, but I would say that this is an ongoing resolution that I have, and which is to from every day I want to see that I kind of detach from the outcomes and more involved in the work and the process of that work, which is, as I told you earlier, that I'm reading Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So one of the things in Bhagavad Gita is the detachment, and I think I want to experience that. Yeah. I want to be part of it. I want to detach from every outcome that I'm involved in. So it's a long journey. I know it's going to be a long journey, but that's what my resolution would be for the next many years, I would say.
For the next many years. So before we sign off, any last words or anything you want to say to our listeners, to our viewers, and especially please include something for aspiring entrepreneurs also.
Be curious, right? Be courageous. Be experimental. Don't be afraid of failures. I think that's what I've done, and I would suggest, if you are looking at becoming an entrepreneur, just go at it, right? Just be at, even if you are in employment, don't worry. Your time will come, and you will have an opportunity to do it. And the last thing I want to say is that I really enjoyed the podcast. It's a great learning experience for me. Purva, you did amazing, and I hope I've answered most of the questions to your satisfaction, and looking forward to seeing the outcome of this and seeing the reaction from people.
Yes, I think the reaction from people is going to be really positive, because I loved this conversation. It was very insightful. There were a lot of questions that I'm probably being selfish, but I'm sure that people also have these questions. But a lot of my own questions were answered, and a lot of questions that I see people, budding entrepreneurs, having. A lot of takeaways from your journey, from Ethosh's journey as a company, as an organization. So there's a lot that there was to gain from this, and it was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for taking out time and for talking to me today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Purva. It's a pleasure.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. How cool was this discussion? I hope you found inspiration in Rahul's story. I think his story can act as a beacon for all of the people who are considering taking the entrepreneurial plunge. If you like this episode, you know what to do. Like, share, and subscribe. And also leave a comment telling us how you liked the episode, and also which other guests or which other topics you would like for us to explore. I think the biggest takeaway from today's episode was that success lies beyond your comfort zone. So until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep embracing the digital world. Signing off, Purva from the Ethosh podcast.